In August 1999, I purchased a pair of Nike sneakers at a major sports store in Paris, where I initially was looking for a cheap tennis racket that I never found. The sneakers were on sale, 99 francs, a pretty good deal, and a pile of them were displayed in a big basket in the center of an aisle. I guess it was the peculiar color that caught my eye, neither red nor purple, but raspberry, a rather uncanny color for footwear. Beyond the visual reference to the fruit, the color reminded me of a taste, maybe the one of a wine like Beaujolais. And like wine, which needs time to reach full maturity, my sneakers also needed time to reach a meaningful state. After 2 years of unaware and loyal service, I decided to travel them back to where they came from, Indonesia, according to the label, and try to learn more about them. Thus in August 2001, I put on my sneakers, went to Schiphol Airport, and flew to Jakarta, alongside Indonesian families based in Holland and Dutch couples seeking exotic holidays. I didn't know what I was exactly looking for beyond my genealogical approach towards world economy, but at this point, I had to go for it and, with the precious help of Indra and his friends, just do it. Upon arrival, a few phone calls helped us to figure out the true face of Nike in Indonesia. There was only one sneaker manufacturer, called Nikomas, supplying both Nike and Adidas. It was located in Tangerang, an industrial estate created by the Suharto regime, somewhere west of Jakarta, and composed of 34 different production units. Most of the hundreds of thousands of workers lived near the plant. Nonetheless, and despite precise directions, going there remained easier in words than in real life. If information were capital, one would need to become a good investor.
Saya mau ke gedung Lipo yang di Gatot Subroto. Tapi kita lewat ini aja ya, lewat Balai Kartini. Iya. Jadi kita turun di situ aja. Soalnya kalau putar macet.
Lampu merah kuning ke kanan ke Balai Kartini.
Iya.
Pak. Iya. Ada waktu kecil ya.
Diharapkan dari Indonesia saat ini. Saya rasa yang paling penting tentunya dia menjanjikan bahwa dia akan membantu kita di dalam mempercepat masalah-masalah bantuan ekonomi di bidang oleh ASF, oleh CCI, oleh Blum ya untuk di bidang ekonomi. Di bidang lain tentu dia juga menjanjikan bahwa investment dari Australia kita lebih datang lebih depan dan lebih banyak. Tentu dia harapkan juga kita bisa menyelesaikan masalah-masalah daripada kestabilan politik yang di mereka.
udah gitu.
Hai, Michael. Michael.
Terus lo nanyain gitu ke Pak Polisi. Pak Polisi.
Halo Pak, mau nanya Tiga Raksa di mana sih? Mana Tiga Raksa?
Rasa motor juga bisa ambil tembus tol bisa memakai
Keluarnya di mana?
keluarnya Tiga Raksa bisa ambil di Kupa bisa masuk ke Balaraja bisa
Keluar aja ya. Ya, makasih.
Tiga Raksa semuanya
Mana sih?
Balaraja
Balaraja juga. Mas Tiga Raksa di mana emang? Tiga Raksa.
pabrik Nike
Balik lagi muter.
Enggak, apa? Pabrik Nike itu Pak
Pabrik Nike. Pabrik Nike? Iya. Iya, Nike. Iya. Makasih. Pabrik Tiga Raksa di mana ya? Terus.
pabrik Nike itu ya
Masih jauh. Masih. Sana. Ini bukan di sini Pak?
Bukan, Tiga Raksa ini nggak ada pabrik sepatu.
Pabriknya di sana.
Iya.
Keluar. Masuk ke mana?
Jalan Serang aja sana.
Cibadak ya
Raja.
Cibadak ya?
Oh, Cibadak.
Oh iya. Oke, makasih.
Ini nggak ada pabrik sepatu. Nggak ada sih, nggak ada pabrik. Joni.
Pabrik Nike di mana Pak? Pabrik Nike sepatu. Pabrik. Enggak. Oh iya. Sana tahu ya. Misi Mas tahu pabrik Nike di mana nggak?
pabrik sepatu
Nike, pabrik sepatu.
Pabrik Nike.
Ya, sepatu. Cibadak di mana?
Kemarin juga.
Hah? Marek. Kalau daerah Cibadak di mana? Ini Cibadak, sini, terus.
Ada perangkatan juga.
Oh iya.
sepatu Nick
Oh iya, oke, kasih ada. Ya. Nggak tahu sih buat sepatu.
ini garment dan lebih ini
Si Pak, pabrik Nike di mana ya?
pabrik
Nike.
sepatu Nike
Nike.
Niko Thomas Pak
Niko Thomas.
ya pabrik juga bisa bikin cuman PT-nya
Niko Thomas.
Niko Thomas wow Mbak
Sejauh, terus
Jauh,
aja tapi.
terus.
Daerahnya namanya apa ya?
Ciomas
Ciomas. Oh iya deh, makasih.
makasih Pak
Jadi udah 300.
gila apa?
Tahu ya ya aja. Permisi Pak, mau nanya pabrik Nike di mana ya? Pabrik
Thomas,
Nike.
PT Niko Thomas.
Niko Thomas. Masih jauh.
itu pabrik sepatu
Beda 5 kilo.
Beda 5 kilo.
Daerah Serang.
Daerah Serang.
itu pabrik sepatu tuh kan
Pabrik
Mbak
sepatu kan?
Iya,
Iya.
Mas.
Kasih.
Hah?
5 kilo lagi.
PT
Mas.
pabrik
Serang. Jauh. Masih jauh nggak?
Dikit lagi Pak
Dikit lagi. Kasih. Sering lebih. Ada yang bilang masih, ada yang bilang lama, ada yang bilang deket. Paling 2 kilo lagi.
tapi lu denger nggak tadi?
Permisi Pak, mau nanya PT ini komis di sini ya? Iya, mau masuk Pak? Masuk nih. Iya. Nike kan? Yang buat sepatu Nike kan? Iya, masuk kelas ini ya? Ya, benar. Hah? Dari ruang rupa? Ruang rupa? Ruang rupa? Tahu.
Ketahuan ya?
Iya.
Boleh nggak sih masuk? Oh mesti lapor ya? Jadi gue nanya prosedurnya gitu
Bisa.
Michael, the security said that we have to set a meeting with the public relation of this company, like that. Cause but I have this number.
So we can't go in now.
We can.
It's not
Yeah.
possible. We can.
We can.
No.
No.
So we have a phone number,
Yeah.
and we have to make an appointment
Yeah.
by telephone.
Yeah. By telephone tomorrow morning.
In order to convince the Nikomas public relation person to grant us access to the plant, we had to prove that we were serious and responsible people, working on a well-meant project that deserved the warmest welcome. Therefore, we visited a few established cultural institutions who wrote very supportive words on good-looking stationery paper, including a beautiful letter from the head of the French Cultural Center, quoting Diderot in his Regrets sur ma vieille robe de chambre, as an example of a French tradition to research the past of dear daily objects. These letters would represent our best insurance policy, and hopefully a visa to Nike Land. We would also try another strategy, that was to address the workers and not the management. For sure the power that they would lack would be replaced with some experience that could be just as valuable if not more. That's why we paid a visit to the headquarters of the FNPBI, a very committed workers' union led by the charismatic Dida Sari. We left the place an hour later with the phone number of the Tangerang branch, specialized in local sweatshops, where we might collect further information about my sneakers. So we went to Tangerang on a Thursday, which happened to be Independence Day. Indonesian flags all over the place, maybe an ironical reference to the very color of my sneakers. We met Lukman, Lulu and Eddie, who run the local branch of the FNPBI.
Ini ada pabrik besar 2 pembuat Nike semua.
Tapi yang jelas tuh NASA ya, Nike ya NASA. Ini apa Kori itu NASA. Nike. Kori Indonesia. Pabriknya di sini.
Tulisannya gimana sih Kori?
Kori Indonesia. Iya, Korio. Indonesia. Apa sih?
The first information that they provided us with was that my sneakers had never been seen around. They must have been for expert only. But the big news was, there was not one factory supplying Nike in Indonesia as we had been told, but 7. There was NASA, Koryonesia and Hasi in Tangerang, Nikomas in Serang, KMK in various locations, and Pratama in Serpong, in addition to a 7th one. Nonetheless, Lulu and Eddie proposed us to push the investigation further and to visit some workers they knew in the neighborhood. The first worker we visited was Wiwim, who was working at the Kori factory. My sneakers didn't ring a bell to her, since Kori used to supply Nike but then produced exclusively for Reebok. Just like her friend, she had never seen these sneakers. Then we tried our luck with a couple. She was working on the KMK plant since 1999, while he was employed by Kori.
Tahun-tahun kemarin juga. Ini keluaran 99.
Iya, 99.
Enggak buat juga waktu itu. Sama sekali belum pernah ya buat kayak gini. Kira-kira tahu nggak ya pabrik mana yang buat?
Again, none of them had ever seen my sneakers.
Biasanya pabrik.
We made a third stop at AM and Hamid.
Buat kayak gitu. Indosus pernah. Yang benar.
Hamid had seen the same fabric in yellow, green and red at Indoshoe in Bogor, a company that went bankrupt in the meantime.
Produksi Nike tapi modelnya kan banyak.
Tapi dia
Nggak pernah nggak dibawa.
Dewey, a friend of theirs, was working at NASA and had been manufacturing the same model but in leather, called Green Stand.
Kita kayak
She speculated that my sneakers might come from Pratama.
Green stain, tapi kalau di NASA kulit.
Oh,
Kan Nike
bahannya.
ada NASA itu kan Hasi, NASA, Pratama, Sanggua Dunia 4 produksi Nike kan semua.
Ini NASA. Antara dua
NASA.
ya.
Si NASA,
Spotek. Reebok.
Fabrik Spotek, Reebok.
They all confirmed the division of factories into different units. The production was divided into steps, like pressing soles, gluing, sewing, within thematic categories, like casual wear, basketball trainers, running sneakers.
Ini cuman pribadi.
These divisions split information and prevented the circulation of knowledge.
Nanti dia pengen dokumentasiin di video. Oke.
After that, Ian took us to another house where we met Noor, who was working at NASA. A glance at the tag and she knew right away that my sneakers had been produced on August 10th, 1996, precisely 5 years before, at a factory whose code was IM. The following year, she was working at the sewing unit of NASA on a similar model. Noor and Ida, who came later, were both controllers and not lumpen workers, which implied that they had a better knowledge of the whole production line. We knew then that my sneakers were not coming from NASA or Hasi, whose codes were respectively IP and IB, neither from Spotek, whose code was DJ, and Spotek didn't supply Nike anyway. In addition, Ida pointed out the difficulty to execute this model because of the circular sewing all around the shoe, for which they had to do unpaid overtime. Though it was a product of pretty low quality that didn't even sell well, which might explain why pairs of raspberry sneakers were still on sale 3 years after production.
Kalau ini,
Ida and Noor were the only ones to ask me how much I'd paid for the sneakers, and I had to confess 99 francs, $13, more than 100,000 rupiah, which impressed them and embarrassed me.
per harinya tahu.
My sneakers were, at a rate of $1 a day, still worth 2 weeks of their work.
Itu produksinya tuh tahu.
And even if a worker had the weird idea of slaving for 2 long weeks for buying a pair of sneakers from his employer, he would have to leave them at home since it's forbidden to wear sneakers while producing sneakers.
Setiap kalau sekarang kan kalau dulu pakai sistem, kalau sekarang
And, last but not least, there were 12 factories supplying Nike in 1996, and only 7 5 years later. So it was not necessary to be a Math Nobel Prize winner to understand that my sneakers either came from one of the factories in Serang or Serpong, or from one of the 5 that had disappeared in the meantime. Once we had the letters, we went to the Nikomas plant again, which this time took only 4 hours. But instead of discussing our request in the Pia office as planned, we had to stay at the gate and wait for Miss Pia to come over. In spite of a promise to negotiate the possibility of our access to the site with the boss, she explained that Nikomas was merely a factory where sneakers were produced but no decisions taken. Permission would have to be given at the Nike headquarters in Jakarta, a very polite way to send us to hell. It was the second time that we had to leave empty-handed. The best we could do was to shoot a picture of the plant from the road, an appropriate reminder of our very position as outsiders who would never get inside. The day after, a call to the sister of a friend working at Nike's marketing department brought hope again into our despairing hearts. She was reluctant to provide us with any information in the beginning, but ended up telling us what we were waiting for. The IM factory code was standing for KMK, a plant supplying various sneaker brands, including the K1 unit for Nike, located in Cikupa, between Tangerang and Serang. Once we knew where to go, the question arose of how to get in. We gave a call to Indo-Pacific, an external PR agency hired by Nike Indonesia. Our request was understood if not welcomed, and our interlocutor said that she would try to negotiate the affair with the head of Nike Indonesia. But we never heard back from her, and each time we called, she was not available for one reason or another. So once we got tired of playing hide and seek, we decided to change strategy and simply go to KMK with our letters and test our luck.
Gimana, Nas? Gimana? Tanyain dulu bagian humas. Ditanya.
Sebelumnya udah ada itu belum? Udah dari pihak ini.
Kita udah ke beberapa pabrik. Jadi nyari yang bikin
Nike.
Mister,
Ya,
nanti izin dulu, tidak boleh langsung ambil gambar ya.
kamera.
Tidak boleh, izin dulu. Tidak boleh langsung.
tolong pergi ke sana kantin lah. Bapak Sodik, Sodik. Kalau enggak ke siar, kalau
Punya janji masih, Pak?
Sodik, ada tamunya dari Jorai. Pertama kali.
Pertama kali? Pernah ngajin proposal belum? Kalau belum kita juga nggak bisa mastiin Mas. Kalau mau ke laporan kita biasanya itu kayak itu, tapi berbeda sendiri harus punya janji. Terus kalaupun mau ke si A, ke saya, cuman kita kalau
After Miss PR left to bring our letters to the bus, the security agents told us that this plant, K1, was very recent and previously located in Bitung, a factory since then occupied by the K2 unit and supplying Converse. Needless to say that we went straight to Bitung.
Ini masih ada. Masih ada.
Ini masih ada. Tapi yang pekerja yang dulu Nike itu sekarang pindah semua ke tempat yang tadi.
Once there, the security agents wouldn't even let us pass the gate, kicking us out like tourists. But from far away, nobody could forbid me to enjoy the view onto the very factory where my sneakers came from. Nonetheless, the issue of the origin remained unsolved. Are origin and identity related to the company or to the location? What was I supposed to look for? K1 or K2? The company or its geographical location? The doubt pushed us to make the K1 trip again.
ada tamu mau nemuin Bu Karni bagian PR. Siap.
Sini.
Silakan.
Terima kasih.
Oke.
Karni. No, ujung loh. Di kandang macan ujung.
Bicara apa Pak? Dari mana?
Ini dari
Saya Indra dari Ruang Rupa. Ruang Rupa ya. Bapak bisa tunggu dulu di sana di posko ya, sebentar sebelah sana. Oh iya. Ya. Oke. Ya, makasih. Makasih. Suruh tunggu dulu bentar. Di sini apa di depan? Oh.
tadi gimana? So kesini apa langsung
Pos tadi suruh langsung tadi kan telepon yang depan.
nunggu di posko. Suruh nunggu di posko bisa.
We had previously arranged a meeting with the head of the PR department that this time was to take place in her office. But once we arrived in the office, we were unexpectedly asked to go back to the security post where the PR lady, once again, would meet us. She finally arrived with the boss and the camera had to be switched off right away.
Tipe sepatunya GPS canvas. Dia punya material ini pakai canvas 9 ounce. This is the material used, the canvas 9 ounce. Because before I'm joining this company, I'm also learning about this.
And do you remember this model?
Yeah, GPS canvas. System is GPS canvas. We use the material 9 ounce canvas. Yeah.
And do you remember when those sneakers were produced?
This is product in all the factory because we have a factory. This is the new factory. The old factory means the product is maybe in 1999. We have also the code on the top. You can see where the product.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will show you.
Of course.
Yeah. This is the product on 96. Yeah.
Yeah.
96 for the 10 order.
10 August.
10 no, this is the November 8-10 order 8-10 bin. Order 8-10 berarti ya for August order.
Yeah.
August order on 1996. But we still have the other
The old
factory.
one.
Yeah, the old one. This is the new one. Yeah, I think if you want to see, you can call Nike first.
Yeah.
Get permission from them.
They were smiling as ever, but inefficient. Aside of factual information that we already knew, they sang the same old song which we knew by heart at this point. We don't make decisions, Nike does. And Nike was of course never to be reached by phone. In the end we had a week-long experience of unsuccessful attempts. So it appeared to be a rather well-organized system of responsibility ping-pong, designed to discourage anybody curious of the Nike production process. When a sneaker factory is secured like a nuclear plant, one can assume that its content proves rather explosive. At this point, my sneakers were hitting a concrete wall in the search for their roots. I was standing at the threshold of a house with no door for me, which stimulated a taste of failure, even though I'd succeeded in locating the birthplace of my sneakers. Success and failure became very relative concepts, hardly distinguishable in the ambivalent zones I'd entered. I just had to admit that I was following a naive desire fed by the romantic myth of the origin, more than conducting a spy investigation in the world of Asian subcontractors. This investigation would have confirmed that there is no origin anyway, only transitory states in an ongoing process, a statement which could apply to both Buddhism and sneaker production. Eventually, my Raspberry sneakers history were turning into a mystery, and maybe I knew from the outset that history is a process and not a target, a continuous line and not a dot, an aimless walk and not a marathon. The swoosh was to remain a pure and immaterial image, in a world which had been designed in such a way that a sneaker consumer and a sneaker producer should never meet and exchange experiences. Now that I've closed the gap, I know that my sneakers will never be the same again.
Terasa indah, tak seorang pun mengganggu. for calling Nike. Please dial the extension number or press 0 for operator assistance. Terima kasih Anda telah menghubungi Nike. Tekan nomor extension yang Anda tuju atau tekan 0 untuk bantuan operator.